Good evening, everybody. Welcome to E2KGn30. This is episode number 29. This is Thursday, February 8th, 2018. I'm your host, Cyrus Prime. And if you don't know, this is enough to keep going news in 30 minutes. We're going to try to keep it under 30 minutes tonight, like we try to do. Sometimes it goes a little bit over, but hopefully we'll kind of run through all this. Tonight, we got some financials, which I think is kind of a staple of our news podcast here. We got some possible console game service, maybe. But first, let me introduce our other host for tonight, Mr. Agasicles Stamos. How's it going?
Good, good, good.
Hopefully you're not
It's
gonna
cold.
yeah, hopefully you're not gonna get a ton of snow like I'm about to. So
No, we got our wintry mix earlier this week, which I find and feel is I dislike that more than snow. I'd rather just get snow and be done with it and
yeah,
have a snow day and school get called out and work get canceled. Wintry mix, like nobody cancels things,
no,
but then it's like the worst thing to be on the road in.
yeah, it's a big mess. Oh yeah, I know how that goes. So so we're gonna go through some news articles here, stuff that we found interesting throughout this past week. And first up, we got some PS4 news here. I guess an update to the UI or just the OS in general.
Yes. So, and I won't dive fully into the deepest, darkest details of this post, but it was over on US Gamer. PS4 update 5.50 adds super sampling on PlayStation 4 Pro and playtime management. So the big story here, and this was kind of a surprise to me, is that the PlayStation 4 is adding super sampling for games that are only 1080p. Now, the Xbox One Scorpio already does this. I thought that the PlayStation 4 did as well. And in fact, on a couple of occasions, in fact, actually with cast members of shows on the E2KG network, I have said, yeah, you'll get some value out of stepping up to the PlayStation 4 Pro, even if you don't have a 4K TV yet, because it will super sample your games. But I guess it's only been providing those type of enhancements for games that actually have PlayStation 4 enhancements where the developers have gone in and enabled those features themselves. But if the game is just stock 1080p, the PlayStation 4 Pro has really done nothing. But now it will. So go ahead and run out and go get your PlayStation 4, whether you're 4K TV or not. There are some parental controls in there as well. I don't know how big a deal that will make for people because I don't know if parents are out spending the money to get a PlayStation 4 Pro for a person in their home that they have to apply parental controls to. I might question that expense. A kid should be fine on just a PlayStation 4. And I don't know how many 4K TV sets, but I know in my household, I have one, and I wouldn't want that one out in a public space being consumed with my kids playing games on it. But that's just me, to each their own. So I don't know. Any thoughts on that, Prime?
No, yeah, like you said, I wasn't aware that it had that mode in there. So yeah, I mean that's good. At least you get the mode now, so
Right.
everybody can enjoy.
Right. So that's
Right.
it for me on the PlayStation 4. You have a news story concerning Minecraft. It seems like Minecraft is always in the news.
Yeah,
Right?
there's usually
Something new
something
is
about
always going
Minecraft.
on with Mojang. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is actually from last week. It was an article I didn't get to last week just because I don't know. Last week seemed to be, at least for me, I saw a lot of news articles, so I had like a whole page of stuff. So I wanted to bring this up soon. Well, actually, right now because this update already happened, but you'll be able to play as Master Chief on Minecraft, which has already happened, on Xbox and just Xbox 360 and Xbox One. But you'll be able to do this now on the Switch and the Wii U. Yes, Master Chief, along with Gears characters, Banjo, which is I guess kind of relevant because Banjo kind of started on the Nintendo platform. Explosion Man and some other Fable characters are going to be able to be played on the Minecraft on the Switch and Wii U versions. So I thought that was kind of interesting just because obviously these, and I know, yes, Microsoft owns Minecraft and Mojang, excuse me. But I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird that, these are, their mascots from Microsoft and you're going to be able to play them on a Nintendo system. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, just for me. I don't know what you thought of it, or if it's even really a big deal that I'm kind of making of it.
No, I look, as any viewers and listeners at this point should understand, what is the content of the show? It's the biggest news stories in the gaming industry for the week, the hottest news stories in the gaming industry for the week, but it also consists of gaming news that is a big deal to us because of our specific interests. We all know Prime is a big fan of Minecraft, and so it's a Minecraft story. So yeah, it's definitely relevant. I'm not a big Minecraft person, just not because I think it's bad or I don't like it, but just because I haven't found room to put that in my life. It's definitely something that I want to get into, as hopefully it'll still be around when my kids get to advanced gaming age. They're at basic gaming age right now, but it's kind of neat from a business model perspective, right? Because this is basically the end of the era of first mascots only existing on their first party versions of the game, right? Because Master Chief used to only be able to get on PC or Xbox, and now it looks like they're willing to loosen up their buckles on those licenses and let them roam freely across all instances of the game. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to, is the kind of business side. Just I know, I know it's just a skin. Now I know they had a Halo. I forgot what it's called now. Not a mod per se, but it was not only did you have like skins, but they actually had like the music, and there was like a whole world that was built around the Halo themed. It was Halo themed basically. So I don't know if that came over too, or if it's just the skins. Didn't really say in the article here, but I mean that would be pretty cool too. But who knows if that's coming over. And then along with that too, you got some Moana. A character pack that's coming through. So if you've seen that Disney movie, you got the different characters from there, and so I thought that was cool.
So is that normal? Do Disney characters normally make their way onto Minecraft?
Yeah, they've had different cartoons and stuff like that. They have skin packs and stuff like that. So yeah, that's not abnormal, I don't think.
Okay, so that's definitely another reason for me to find a place to put that in, because my kids are huge. I am too. I won't just say it's just my kids. We're huge fans of the Moana movie. So, so if that's there as well, that'll definitely be a way to hook them in.
Yeah, they've had different TV shows, like they have Rick and Morty. They've had a slew of Star Wars skin packs. Trying to think of some other shows right now. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, they have like different stuff like that. So that's cool.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So yeah.
So. It's a typical segment here on any
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we're busting out the quarterly financials, because that's we talk about things that are of particular interest to us as cast members, and that's what we tend to focus on. So if your interests align with ours, then you are good for this show. If your interests don't, the show is still good for you, because you'll be exposed to stuff that you might normally not dive deep into in your normal average everyday perusal of the web and consumption of gaming news. So Take-Two Interactive earnings call went down this week, reporting on their third quarter for this fiscal year. So this article, by the way, was posted over on Business Wire. I think it was aggregated maybe over on Blues News, probably. So net revenue for them was roughly 481 million, 480.8, which is a net growth from last year's fiscal third quarter, where they were at 476.5. Let's see, consumer spending plus, which includes everything, but mainly also includes revenue from microtransactions, grew 64% year over year. Let me specify. So recurrent consumer spending is what they call that. So any virtual currency, add-on content, and microtransactions, basically anything other than a core game purchase itself, was up 64% and counted for about a third of their total net revenue. Now, lots of the other publishers have, as DBQ and I covered last year in our financial special, lots of the other big publishers are reporting that digital transaction content has been forming as much as 50% of their quarterly revenue. So as we keep reiterating, I think all of us have some level of disdain for microtransactions, one of us or maybe a couple of us absolutely despise them and think that they are of the devil. But
So can I ask a quick question right there?
Yeah, absolutely.
About the digital side. Now, does that take into account like a full game too, not just DLC?
No, so this is specifically a quantification of how much things that you have to buy repeatedly over and over and over again.
There's extra DLC stuff.
Yeah, virtual currency, add-on content, microtransactions. So I'm not familiar entirely with 2K's catalog, but to put it in Destiny terms, so when we say virtual currency, I mean if you spend $30 to get 1,000 silver points or silver light or silver tokens or trinkets or whatever to spend in Eververse, right? Then that's purchasing a virtual currency.
So like the shark cards in GTA.
Right.
Okay.
So any use of real money to buy fake money to buy something in the game. Okay. And then, like I said, that in addition to add-on content and other microtransactions. Largest contributors to net revenue in the fiscal third quarter, and they don't say whether this is from game purchases or from the microtransactions. But Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto Online, NBA 2K18, WWE 2K18, and WWE Supercard and LA Noire. So that's very interesting to me that the LA Noire revival reprint, remaster that went to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and in particular the Switch was one of their top revenue getters for the quarter. Digitally delivered net revenue grew 8% to $258.4 million, as compared to $240.2 million last year, and accounted for 54% of their total net revenue. So again, this is a statement on digital sales. I don't know if this includes microtransactions. It's always difficult with these things to understand exactly how they parse it. But point is that 54% of 2K's revenue was generated from digital sales, which does include full games. Excuse me. Digitally delivered big hitters were Grand Theft Auto Online, Grand Theft Auto 5, NBA 2K18, WWE 2K18, WWE Supercard, and Sid Meier's Civilization 6. So what that means is that, excuse me, more people purchased Sid Meier's Civilization 6 and or microtransactions associated with it digitally than LA Noire. Now, I suspect that because the Switch is mixed up in the LA Noire sales, that a lot of people purchase those physically because the Switch buyers seem to be divided firmly into two camps. You have some number of people who are buying their games physically so that they consume less space storing them on the micro SD card, but some people also purchase digitally for the convenience. My personal assessment is that more people are buying games on the Switch physically, but that's just my gut check guess. Net income was $25.1 million overall. There's a bunch of stuff about dilution of shares. We won't get into all that. They benefited from tax cuts. Net cash on hand, $1.322 billion. So they are sitting fine with regards to cash that they're holding on to. And yeah, that is about it. There's a bunch of other stuff here that I wish I could get into. Good news about Rockstar. What I should have done, and I didn't do, I apologize. I should have dived deep into this to see if there were any reveals coming for their future guidance and some of the specifics on specific games.
Yeah, I didn't see any when I was kind of skimming through this. Well, there was a couple games here that mentioned Monster Legends and Dragon City. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming they're mobile games.
It's going to be mobile games. Now, it may not say so in here, but I do know that the big thing about the 2K announcement, I think we may have talked about this earlier in the week. I'm not certain. But Red Dead Redemption 2 obviously delayed until, I think we did talk about this, until October of this year, but early in 2019, they are reporting that they will be releasing the next installment of a popular franchise, I think is how they termed it. Now, that only gives them so many. Irrational Games is shut down, so we don't know where the next BioShock will come from. Thoughts are that it's too early for them to be talking about a new version of GTA, particularly considering how much GTA Online is killing it. So the suspicion is that it's another Borderlands. And it looks like LA. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it looks like under the business and product highlights since October 1st, 2017.
Yep.
Take-Two, they have a couple of game announcements, I guess, if you want to call it. They just talk about a new IP from a renowned industry creative talent, including previously announced Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey from Panache Digital Games. I don't know. I've never heard of it.
idea.
An unannounced RPG from Obsidian Entertainment. So I think
I thought that's been rumored for a while, though.
Yeah, I've heard that for a long time now. A sci-fi shooter, unannounced sci-fi first-person shooter from V1 Entertainment. I've never heard of them, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that part of that LA Noire revival was also a VR version, so that played well for them as well in terms of their earnings. So I will roll directly from that into Activision Blizzard's earnings, which are a little more straightforward. Unfortunately, I tagged a highly detailed article for that one, which drowned me a little bit. So over on IGN, Activision Blizzard earnings show that people like spending lots of money on digital content. So for Activision Blizzard, they were at $7 billion in net revenue. Compared to, what did I say it was for 2K, like 400 something million?
Yeah.
So significantly larger publisher, even though we still think of 2K as one of the biggest publishers out there. Digital revenue was $1.62 billion for them, which was over half of its $2.64 billion for Q4. So I'm sorry, that $7 billion was for the fiscal year. So for the fourth quarter of the year, they were at $2.64 billion, which again is still, we're talking, we're talking 5 times the amount of revenue as 2K took in. So one more time, 1.62 billion digital revenue out of 2.64 billion for Activision. So so well over half. Basically, I want to say that's like, what is that? Like 61% of their total revenue was digital. So again, this continues the theme that DBQ and I latched onto when we did the financial report last year for third quarter, I think. It's an indication that more and more of the gaming industry's revenue is coming out of digital. And so that's just going to continue that push to go from to invest less and less in physical sales. And if you remember, Activision Blizzard, I believe it was the big publisher that closed down its sole physical distribution warehouse in the United States. So I'm not sure where their digital games are going to be packaged and distributed from. But that was a move they made again, showing them relying more heavily on the bet on digital. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombie Chronicles was the #1 game add-on for PlayStation 4. But again, overall, the story is that not just Call of Duty Black Ops 3, but the big get they're reporting was again from those recurring digital sales of things like loot boxes. So in fact, specifically, they said Call of Duty Black Ops 3's Zombie Chronicles was the #1 game add-on for Sony PlayStation 4. In other words, DLC. However, the buying of recurring virtual goods and services exceeded all DLC across the board. So Zombie Chronicles scored well. However, it was a pittance in compared to the sell of things like loot boxes, which was one of their major victories for last year. So Call of Duty World War II sold 30% of its total copies digitally, setting a one-day record for the PlayStation Store. Call of Duty World War II was also the best-selling game of December 2017 and the top-selling game of last year. So good news story for Activision after kind of stumbling and missing their mark with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Again, in my opinion, not directly due to the quality of that game. My understanding is it was a pretty good and solid game, but I think a lot of the marketing didn't resound with gamers, and so a lot of fence riders stayed away from it last year. But it looks like they are right back to it. You know what studio did Call of Duty World War II? Was it Sledgehammer this year?
Yeah, it was Sledgehammer.
Okay, so good for them. You know, I like Infinity Ward, even the current Infinity Ward, not Infinity Ward. So I don't hold that studio accountable for the falling out between Zampanella and Kotick, but it's nice. It's always been nice to see that Treyarch and Sledgehammer, who for spent a lot of time maligned as the backup studios or not the real versions of Call of Duty, kind of finding their own place and putting their own stamp on the franchise with high quality releases. So yeah, and it looks like total last year for 2017, their 5.43 billion of that 7 billion in net revenue was digital. So a almost predominantly digital year last year. You're going to hear me punching that into the calculator as well.
Crunch those numbers.
76% of their net bookings were digital last year.
Nice.
So that's almost your whole business, right? You can definitely see why it would cause a CEO or something to say, so why am I selling physical copies of games again?
Yeah.
You know.
The tide may turn, so we'll see.
So that is all the financial news for this episode of E2KGn30. Prime, get us back to talking about potential new releases and Google losing their minds.
Yes. All right. So yeah, first up, before we get to Google, some Stalker developers from the Stalker series.
Yeah, we should say that's not devs who are stalkers. That is developers of the game Stalker, which takes place in Chernobyl.
Right. Yeah, it was a kind of first-person shooter survival game, which I didn't realize it was like a survival game. I thought it was just like a straight-up shooter. So that was interesting.
Survival game. I would apply that term loosely, but what was nice about it was it's super accurate in its engine. Right, it actually has like bullet drop when you're firing at somebody. It's significantly challenging, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had never played those, so I don't know if they ever came to console. I know they were a PC game.
I thought that I'll fact check that while you're briefing out the news. I think they did come to console, but I'll double check.
All right, so Focus Home Interactive, and Vostok Games have announced a new game that they're producing or creating. Fear the Wolves, and it's part of this big battle royale game type that's popping up everywhere. And obviously we have PUBG was I don't want to say the first, but the most, I should say, popular of these battle royals. And we had Fortnite that didn't even have a battle royale game, and they added that onto their game modes, and that exploded. It's huge now. So now these guys are bringing out Fear the Wolves, and I will read here. It drops players in squads or as lone wolves into an oppressive environments of radiation-ravaged Chernobyl. So they're keeping the Chernobyl theme here. I wonder if they're going to tie it into Stalker series, or if they even can. I guess I don't know if they have the license still for the rights, but so you'll have your basic battle royal, 100 players. They throw you in there, and you got to fight each other out. But a little bit of a twist, because there are other threats to the players. You'll have to watch out for deadly anomalies, or like mutants, I'm assuming, or creatures, and dynamic weather system. And as far as Fortnite and PUBG, they don't have any kind of day or night modes, or like the day doesn't change to night, or the weather doesn't do anything. There's not even any weather right now, I think, in either of those games. So that's kind of cool that there's going to be cycles of that stuff rolling through. Oddly enough, in Roblox, when I play Roblox, there's a game type that kind of has like the storm system that kind of comes and goes. So that's kind of cool that that's going to be into a more I guess realistic graphic type of game. So that should be cool. And then also, you'll pick up gear to protect yourself from the environment or from the players. I'm assuming like bulletproof vests and stuff like that, or gas masks and that kind of stuff. So that's cool. And then besides that, the battle royale mode, there'll also be another, and this is their words, another intense original game mode will also bring a fierce new twist to the genre. So I'm not sure. They didn't really specify the genre. I don't know if they're still talking about battle royal or some other shooter or just like a shooting genre. So
I don't know. So that's going to be interesting because that cuts sharply against the grain of what Stalker was as a game. In its very ethos, it's a very slow, plodding, methodical kind of game.
right.
Maybe not quite as slow. I think this game gets frequently mixed up with Metro 2033, Metro Last Light. Um, that franchise of games. In fact, that's why I mixed it up when I said I was almost certain it had come to consoles. It didn't. Actually, this is a game that exists only on Windows.
Okay. So,
Endearingly, it was published by THQ, which is a publisher that is no more, but was one of my favorite publishers.
yeah.
Of course, they've kind of been reborn as THQ Nordic now, and there's a whole story and DNA and lineage behind that. But a lot of the things that you called out, the elements of the zone, right? The exclusion zone, stalkers, mutants, anomalies, and artifacts. All those things are things or objects that existed within the Stalker game. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. How do you go from something that is kind of very methodical and kind of slow in the spirit of its gameplay to something that's as fast paced as something like a battle royale?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say fast, really,
Okay.
because a game can. Well, I mean, if you can get toward the the last few survivors in the game type, I could take up to like 20 minutes, sometimes even a little bit longer. So I mean, obviously, you have this in PUBG, you have this wave or like wall that continually shrinks, and so there's that kind of time limit. But you got to be careful. You can't just be running out and out in the middle of everywhere and anywhere, because you can get sniped or start getting shot. So
Right. But I guess what I mean is like engagements in PUBG are like fractions of seconds, right?
well,
Typically.
yeah, sure. Yeah. As far as the fights, yeah, the
Yeah.
firefights, yeah,
Yeah, they're over
they're
very quickly.
they're
Whereas
pretty. Yeah.
in Stalker, a firefight can be pretty lengthy, and then you have the ability to heal. There's bleeding in the game, things like that. So a single engagement can last a protracted amount of time as you circle around and take cover and try and find where the enemy is exactly and things like that.
Yeah. So and this is coming to PC and consoles. They say later this year. Don't give an exact date. So, and then it's going to be in early access at some point on the PC. So maybe we'll see it on game preview on the Xbox potentially. We'll see. But yeah, so that's Fear of the Wolves. So that should be interesting. Now I'll definitely be looking out for that because I like that game type. So we'll see. And I guess this is I'm assuming battle royal is just going to become like a firefight mode eventually in like all shooting games or all third person games, I would assume.
I guess
because firefight kind of start like that, horde mode.
I mean, what is it about the label battle royale that makes it any different than like a 64 player deathmatch?
Well, I guess in like a regular shooter deathmatch, there's no like the area doesn't shrink basically, and I guess that's like the biggest thing. So the map itself doesn't shrink. There's just an outside force that kind of pushes you into like a certain location on the map. So
that's true in both PUBG and Fortnite. That's defining a parameter in that mode in every case. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So and I think in Fortnite it's like a storm, but in PUBG it's just a wall, this energy wall that like shrinks in. So in Fortnite they kind of give it a little bit of a story element. So
eventually, if there were no engagements and everyone survived, eventually at some point everyone would find themselves like in the center of the map.
Right. Correct.
Okay. All right. Yep. Gotcha.
Yep. So that is Fear the Wolves. So look out for that coming this year, or at least in game preview. So finally, in our final news article here, as I guess Cleese had mentioned, Google's losing their mind. No, so there is a reliable source, supposedly, that Google is looking to start up a video game subscription-based gaming service. Now, they don't know if this is going to be, it might be something that can go through Google Chromecast, or maybe Google's going to make their own like dedicated console. But it's going to be a streaming service, so it's probably not going to be this huge box. It'll probably be fairly small, but it's going to be subscription based. I'm assuming you'd be able to just kind of like PlayStation Now, sign up for the service and you can just stream whatever you want, whatever the games you're looking for, and There is. I was looking at this article here now. One of the big reasons that this rumor uh, is kind of gaining momentum is Xbox and PlayStation executive Mr. Phil Harrison has actually joined Google about a month or so ago as a GM on their video game side. So, people are kind of starting to put two together, possibly, and making four. And thinking, he's, gonna, lead this, head this up and kind of bring this to fruition. I guess his last job was he was on the advisory board of Gaikai, I believe it's called, which is, I believe, Sony
Right.
bought that up.
That was the streaming service that Sony bought,
Right.
so that they could get a hold of the technology to make PlayStation Now.
Yeah. So, and supposedly there's an actual code name for this. It's called Yeti. That's going around there. So, and it's been, been worked on for the last couple of years or so. So this is coming. I found this article on IGN, and I've seen it on other websites. And this is a report from The Information, which I don't know what that is.
I find this hard to believe a bit, just because so Android has always been more friendly to game developers and gamers than iOS. Games exist on iOS, but I wouldn't say that Apple has gone out of their way to help game developers, other than the instantiation of Metal in iOS, which I would say was specifically designed to accelerate, to assist with game and hardware graphics acceleration. But and maybe if they've been working on it for 2 years already, maybe they were already committed to it. But we're entering an area where the persistence of net neutrality is highly in question, whether or not that's going to remain. And states and individuals are making great stands. Some state governors have gone so far as to say, within our state, you will respect net neutrality to the ISPs. But if states do it like checkerboard, right, and it's not consistent across the whole nation, it becomes incredibly difficult to feel confident that you're going to be able to stream from a data center in the Midwest to a person who's playing in Texas, right? This seems an incredibly challenging thing to pull off. Google's encountered lots of adversity rolling out its own fiber optic network. They are, if there is no net neutrality, they are certain to get taxed to get onto a fast lane by an ISP if they're flooding the network with a lot of traffic. The only part of this that makes sense to me is that it is a space where Google can leverage the predominance of Chromecast, right? Chromecast is being built into basically every smart TV, and almost every TV that you can buy today is a smart. I tried to avoid buying smart TVs, and it was not possible. It took too much effort for me to find a TV that wasn't a smart TV, and almost all of them have Chromecast built in. So if you've got the most predominant mobile operating system on phones in the world, and almost every TV that people are buying has Chromecast, then I kind of get that you could basically use your phone. If it gets to a point where you can use your phone as a controller, then it kind of makes sense. But even then, still, I don't see these being high fidelity games. I have half a mind to think that this is going to be a lot of give you an ability to play like Words with Friends and like game shows and stuff on TV, which I think would still be cool. Like if you can have people over for like a little cocktail party or something and play board games on your TV via your phone, I think that would be pretty awesome. But I don't know that this is the service that comes out and say challenges something like NVIDIA's GeForce streaming service, with first party AAA games being streamed to your TV or your phone.
Yeah, and they had actually mentioned that along with PlayStation Now, that they'd be only like the third service like that. So, and yeah, I think I heard this rumor. I think sometime last year too, that they were more so that they were working on just a console, not necessarily a game service. So this is a little bit different now. They're saying just a subscription service. So I don't know. It seems kind of weird that they'd even try it, but I know every once in a while you hear that about Apple too, that they're making a game console or a game something or other. So, and I guess if you could just do like Google Play stuff, like you said, that'd probably be fine. I guess I suppose, but it'd be the easiest and non taxing on your internet. So
Right, and I would have much more been enamored by the concept of them throwing in behind Nvidia and propping up their Android TV, right? Since Google created that platform,
Right.
Nvidia was the only one who really took off with it from a hardware perspective and made anything out of it. So I would have preferred seeing them team more firmly with Nvidia to bring hardware-based console gaming, but there you have it. We'll be interested to see if that rumor is true or not.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So look out for Google, the Google rainbow box or something. I don't know, whatever their colors are. Blue, green, and yellow and red. So we'll see.
Yeah, it is interesting to consider that, do we get something that is marketed and branded as the Chromecast game, right? Or Chromecast Play. I can see that being the product name for for that device. So it'll be interesting.
Keep it in the family. So
right.
Now I guess the other question is there, say this is more than just like Google Play stuff, Google Play games, they can get, like big third party and stuff like that. Do you think there's room for, a fourth big console or service? Oh, I guess if it's a service, that might work.
I think there's room because I don't think anybody has solved the service oriented, the games as a service model, right? Not without hardware. Again, if they leverage Chromecast, admittedly, it does give Google the ability to. A Chromecast is $35, and they're literally on sale like 80%. Like, I don't even know why. Like, Google should just drop the price, right? Because the things are always on sale somewhere.
Yeah, like $25 or something.
Right. So it does provide an interesting position, but I don't know. Like, Chromecast has a bit of jankiness associated with it. It has some particular settings that are really buried that you have to go find. Like, the things always broadcast that they're there to like every Android device on your network, which is something you don't want happening if you're playing a deep game and you're highly immersed in it, and you've got game saves and things that are more like kind of core games. You don't want that broadcasting to everybody on your network and people potentially monkeying with your game. Again, that's a thing you could turn off, but it was implemented in a version of the OS. It just started happening. There was mass confusion about it. It would bug my wife because she would pick up her phone and there in her notification shade was something about a Chromecast broadcasting on the network. So it was a problem. It was a thing to be managed. I think at the end of the day, it's got to be tied into the Google Play Store, right? So, and then how does that model work? So you subscribe to the service? Does that give you the access to everything in the store, or do you still have to buy games? One of the problems, admittedly, it's digital clutter in my personal life, but one of the things that's a pain for me to manage is like constantly going in and like deleting and blowing away like every Android device I've ever owned in my Google Play profile, and then managing the content across that stuff. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. And then of course, if it's powerful that if it's coming through your phone, because so many people have those phones, but by the same token, there's lots of people who don't have Android phones, right? And then does that basically eliminate that whole part of the market segment for you? So it'll be interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
And then you could turn your phone into like a Switch device and have like handles or like controllers like strapped on the sides of it.
Well, there's lots of controllers for them, right? I have a Bluetooth controller. There's a lot of these iPega things that you like. That you're right. It's just like a Switch. Like, you basically take your phone and you drop it in there. Yep. The sides expand kind of like wings and then clamp back down on the phone, and it kind of looks like a big PlayStation Portable. So yeah, it'll be. I don't know. There's lots that could happen with it. It's rolling out a whole service means you're going after a really big play and you're expecting really huge uptake. And I just don't know if there's that much of a user base for gamers who are already playing, Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and on PC.
Yeah, and on the mobile itself. So
right, and using myself as a use case, right? I like the concept of gaming on Android, but I just gave up my Shield devices, right? Because again, those 4 other platforms were too much, right? And I just had the hardware sitting around here not getting used. So I can't see myself subscribing, right, to a Google-based Chromecast oriented streaming service because I've got too many other things to play. So
yeah,
I don't know.
and would this be like maybe not so much lately, but excuse me, in the past, everything was kind of like beta when it came out. So
Right.
I don't know if you'd want a beta in a service like this.
The
So.
perpetual Google beta, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and again, what does that do? What does that? I mean, so people need a certain amount of bandwidth for that. They need a certain amount of speed on their connection. And again, we're perilously close to ISPs, easily being able to, go back to putting data caps on. And some people still live under data caps, although, under that net neutrality area, a lot of that went away. But it may be getting ready to make a comeback. So I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
See what happens. We'll keep an eye on that. I'm sure we'll report on it more in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So we went a little bit over, about 10 minutes over. That's all right. We'll wrap up here, episode number 29 for February 8th, this cold, wintry Thursday. But catch us on Tuesday, next Tuesday. We should all be here. Actually, well, I think might be taking a break there, I guess, please.
Yeah, so DBQ will be back in the seat a week early, and he'll be taking my spot next week.
So we'll be doing our gameplay or deep dive more into our what we've been playing recently, and hear from Swissguard. He was going to be playing God of War, I believe, which is what we picked for him. And then I will.
I think the God of War remaster.
Yeah, I'll be giving my 3 picks for the next couple weeks after that. So, and then come back here next Thursday for E2KGn30, episode number 30. For more great news, hopefully coming out through the week. I don't know. It seemed kind of slow week for me, at least. I didn't really see a ton out there.
So, yeah, it was weird that PlayStation 4 firmware article to me was one of the biggest things. There's a chunk of stuff we didn't report because there were a ton of rumors this week, but I think generally we all kind of steer away from rumors and wait for more official announcements. When rumors are really big, like the Google thing, we report on those, but generally we're more official announcement type guys. So
yeah,
this week was more rumors than concrete news.
Yeah, that's all right. It's fun to theorize every once in a while. All right. So on behalf of myself, Osiris Prime, and I guess Clay Stamos, keep watching the E2KG network, and we will see you next week.